Hey guys, welcome to this week's video. This week we are joined by a member of the rowing YouTube royalty, Mr. Eamon Glavin. Eamon is a filmmaker and rower from Philadelphia. His YouTube channel is one of the largest in the rowing world, with 4,500 subscribers and videos which receives tens of thousands of views. Eamon has rowed at a number of rowing clubs, including Commercial Rowing Club in Dublin and Duke University in North Carolina. At present, Eamon is working as a rowing coach at Haverford School in Philadelphia, while self-producing a rowing documentary following the journey of US athletes on their way to the Olympic Games. Eamon is also quite well known on the YouTube for having vlogged every single day of 2019. Without further ado, to the interview.
Okay. Oh, there we go.
Oh, that's much better.
Finally got the video to work.
Yeah, so that's where I was going to start. I was going to start by asking you about Head of the Charles. It looked like you had an eventful race there.
Yeah, it was a like very middle of the pack average head of the Charles race, I'd say. A couple close calls and slight clashes, but that's kind of to be expected if you're kind of in the middle of the pack already. So, teams that get in the lottery system but are very good have to start at the back and go through everyone, which is what happened for a couple of the guys because they finished top 10. And then, I decided to put a GoPro on my head because why not?
My coach tends to shout at me if I ever do that, so but I don't blame you for it. What does rowing look like for you at the moment?
Right now, it is a good way for me to keep fit. I obviously am obsessed with the sport, but I'm not at the level to train for elite national team type of stuff. I don't think I ever would be. It's just that next step I haven't been able to make. I was getting, much faster when I was living in Ireland and doing a like a really solid block of training. And then the pandemic hit, and then priorities slightly shift, but they're still rowing related as well. So yeah, the really it's just something fun for me to keep doing at the moment. I might try and do a little bit of training to see if I can drop my 2K time to like a goal that I've always had. And, we'll see if that continues, but I just kind of go out for rows and don't have to do a 6 day a week, 2 times a day training plan right now. It's all up to me.
That sounds quite a nice deal you've got struck up there. So just to dwell on your time in Ireland, I was watching a vlog earlier today of your Head of the River race. I didn't quite realize how fast you were. You came 50th.
Yeah, our so the club I rode in at in Ireland in Dublin was Commercial Rowing Club, and they had pretty much like 16, 17 guys that were training pretty consistently and having a lot of fun with it. Like the top boat that was really the goal at the end of the year was Henley. They got 20th, I believe. And so they were the standard. And then the next boat, 50th, was what I was in. It was you could count on one hand how many times I was in that boat, but a bunch of guys who had been doing some pretty solid training through the winter and whatnot. And it's surprising, but also not, that Ireland has some pretty fast guys who are just club rowers. And sometimes they get, pretty fast where they get picked up for the national team. But, there's just a different culture over there that I've noticed of training and, trying to go fast. So,
Would you say there's a big difference in training in Ireland against training in the US?
I would. The Irish amateur sport mentality is completely different than the US, because the US really doesn't have much amateur athletics. Like if you play in college or something, you kind of join a club team afterwards, but it's usually very, very low maintenance and low effort and sometimes low skill. But and that's in every sport. So you could have a club lacrosse team or a club track and field team, but it's nowhere near the level of commitment that people put in when they're over in basically Europe. I found Europe has a very different amateur sport. Like if you don't make money in the US, people discount it. But if you're not making money in Ireland and having a fun time with your mates and then going out afterwards, it's like that's their social culture. It's just very different.
That's really interesting. I have no idea that the US didn't really have as big a club scene.
Yeah, we have a couple historically big clubs. So Boathouse Row in Philadelphia has 5 or 6 clubs that they have a small group of people that train pretty hard, but I think they would get trashed by the guys who do the same amount of training over in Ireland and the UK because it's just a completely different culture of what they need to do to get fast.
And so how did you get into rowing as a sport, as an obsession, I should say?
Yeah, so it started in 2010. Well, really 2000 spring 2011. I was a cross country runner. I was a lacrosse player. I'd done a lot of sports when I was in the youth stage of life, and my cousin had done rowing. My dad was like, "Hey, you should try this. I think it'd be, I think you'd do well at it, or you enjoyed it, or something." Because I was a cross country runner, so I knew how to kind of push my body to a certain level, whereas the other sports I was playing, like lacrosse, were very skill based and strength based. Which, being 5'9" against guys who are 6'5", it's pretty hard to match up unless you're much faster than them. And I'm not a sprinter, so once I picked up the rowing stroke fairly quick, like I didn't want to do it, but then he convinced me to go to learn to row. So I picked up the stroke very quickly because I had hand-eye coordination from the other sports. And then, I was one of the faster on the team. Really, I pulled my second time ever on the erg was the 2K. And I was like, they were like, "Hey, try and go below 8 minutes, which is a 2 minute on the thing." I'm like, okay, I'm 135 pounds soaking wet. So, I pulled pretty tough to be able to try and get right below it. And I did. And so I started at the top of the team, even as a small little lightweight guy. And we were racing guys who started at the same time as us. And from that point on, it was like, well, this is a lot of fun. And then I had a lot of fun with it, with the actual trying to go fast and having the numbers to dictate what I'm doing. Whereas running, I just kind of went off feel and never enjoyed it as much. So the numbers, the picking it up quickly, and everything that came with that is pretty much how it became my obsession.
Oh, fantastic. It's one of those sports that you just get into and then you never leave, or you become a triathlete.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely have like something I want to tick off in my life of doing something like an Ironman.
Yeah, I think it's a sport that seems to attract people who want to tick off something big.
Oh, yeah.
So talking of something big, you've been following some US Olympians for the past few years?
For just basically since February. So it kind of stems back to 2019 when I was doing the daily vlogs. I did a video for every single day, and that was a challenge I wanted to accomplish and finish. And I did it. I made one video for every single day. A couple were too late. Then I was going to get back into making videos, but I stopped the daily videos. I wanted to make each one have a little bit more effort behind them, event based on like a race or training block or something, instead of one every single day, because that's really boring. So then the pandemic hit, kind of do a couple videos here and there, upgraded my camera to one of the newer intro cinema cameras that could shoot in high quality and slow motion and all that stuff. And I was like, I want to do something a little bit more substantial. My one of my best friends from high school is down in Texas training with the lightweights, the top lightweights in the country, and they're probably going to be representing the U.S. at certain races this summer, which was final Olympic qualification regatta. I was like, I'm going to do a short documentary on lightweight rowing. So I pack up my stuff, drive all the way down to Texas in 2 days, stay with my friend, and next thing I know, I'm meeting different Olympians, past Olympians like Jevy Stone, the lightweight double of Emily and Mary Schmeg, and then we all I meet a bunch of people in Texas over the course of 10 days, and then everyone has to go to the U.S. Olympic trials. And as I'm meeting people, I'm like opening up the footage that I'm taking, and not just of the lightweights, but of the open weight women's scullers, the open weight men's sculler, John Graves, like all these different people that I've met in Texas. We all go over to the U.S. trials for the Olympic trials, and then my videos, because I started posting on Instagram, get a little bit more traction. People know me; they invite me on to do different things. Next thing I know, I'm like, oh, I could do a video about what it takes to go from U.S. club rower or independent, not like on a camp system, to what it takes to get to the Olympics. And that was like the first 2 weeks of filming. I decided to open up from just lightweight rowing to go to all US club rowing or trials process rowing.
That's just such a great opportunity to have, and I can see how it just snowballed. So
yeah, it all really stemmed from I like making videos to I wanted to make something a little bit more substantial to I have all these people who really like my footage now, because I basically started actually posting on Instagram, which is where things started blowing up in the rowing world. And the videos, like people were like, hey, I really like your stuff, that I'd never met before. And I was like starting to meet a bunch of people. And then, you know, the people who actually won the trials were going to the Olympics or to the final Olympic qualification regatta. Like I had a rapport with them. And then next thing I know, I'm able to go to the actual final Olympic qualification regatta because I was able to actually get there for citizenship, like being a dual citizen, and all that kind of stuff just kind of kept one after another, just kept happening in the right way. And next thing I know, the Olympics are happening. I have friends in the Olympics now, and it was just a great feeling. And, you know, I've captured all this great footage of them, super high quality, 4K, slow motion, all this stuff. And I've, you know, been posting about the videos along the way.
Absolutely amazing. And really enjoyed the Regatta of Death video. And just to anyone watching, make sure you go and have a look at that one. Some amazing
that one took me 3 months to edit. Basically from the day that I was there to leaving to, I think I posted in September, like that stretch of time was writing the script, trying to get all the footage and really capture the moment. And I learned a lot of stuff. Like I got a voiceover setup that I have here to be able to record the proper voiceover to make it sound good, to capture the emotion. There's a lot of learning.
Some fantastic footage there. And you even got the footage of the Kiwi 8s qualifying. You got them crossing the line, and they of course went on to win gold in the men's 8. How did your US athletes do in the end?
So only one boat qualified in final Olympic qualification regatta, which was the women's lightweight double of Molly and Michelle. And freaking love those girls. They're awesome. They're so much fun to talk to and everything. The interviews with them were long and just great. And, you know, they go across the line, they go to the Olympics, but they got 5th place, but 1st to 5th place was 1 second.
Oh,
yeah, there were 6, and then 6th place was only another second behind. So 6 boat final, Olympic regatta, they get all the way to the end, and it's literally decided in the last 10 strokes.
Oh, that's absolutely heartbreaking for them.
Yeah, but in general, the U.S. Olympic team and other people that I followed, no one medaled. A couple got to A finals, and then our like camp boats really nobody medaled. So we had a pretty rough Olympic year for the US.
Yeah, I think we did over in GB as well by our normal standards.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was
We'll console each other with like, Paris will be grand.
Yeah, I'm concerned about how well the French are going to do now. They've got Jurgen Grobler, our main man over here.
Oh yeah. We'll see.
So the next big challenge, what's that for you? I suppose editing together the documentary.
Yep. The editing is going to take a while because I have a lot of other stuff now happening in my life of like actually starting a full like career of being a video content creator. So everything that comes with that. But then the big hurdle that I really need to figure out and get some help with is NBC owns the Olympics and everything that has to do with the Olympics. So if you produce something that is Olympic themed, like it can't stand without the Olympic name attached to it, which is pretty much everything I've done this year. You would have to pay a $6,000 a year fee to use their footage or your footage, like, or get permits. Like there's a lot of stuff that I have to figure out in the sense of, can I actually use my footage and not get sued? Because
Gosh,
producing something like this is usually done by much larger corporations or people that have figured things out or have financial backing. Because I've basically self-produced this, drove down in my car, lived with friends for cheap and cousins, and then flew to Switzerland on my own dime and all that kind of stuff. So all that money and time that I've put into this has been all just supported like here instead of getting a full sponsorship support, which I've been thinking about. But if I do certain rules for NBC Olympics, then they have to be Olympic sponsors. So you can't just have like general rowing companies sponsor it, which is some hurdles that I've come into. So really, I need to go and talk to someone and get some support at NBC Olympics to be able to use my own footage and hopefully not pay an absurd amount of money for it.
gosh, that is a big old hurdle.
Yeah. So that's why I could try and produce this and get it out by, my goal was to finish it in 2021, just to have it like be 1 year captured. But how long it took me to edit the final Olympic qualification regatta video was kind of indicative of how long it'll take to edit these things, which is 3-4 months. And then you put on top of that, like while I'm editing, I'm also doing client work and trying to work with NBC. So there's a lot that's happening. So we'll see when it comes out, but I'll keep people updated.
We're all looking forward to it. That's for sure. So I think I'm going to move us on to our quickfire style interview questions, but feel free to dwell on one if it does take your fancy. So what a classic rowing question, really. What's the erg that you dread?
I don't really like long distance pieces in the sense of like 5Ks, 5 or 6Ks. Like 6K is dreadful. I found 5K is way more enjoyable because of that little less 1K. So that definitely helped. When I moved over to Ireland, they did 5Ks instead of 6Ks. But anything that like I really like doing negative splitting. So anything that I can negative split, I can usually enjoy, but I'm not a sprinter and I'm generally out of shape for certain things. So I'm like dreading most things that aren't steady state right now.
Yeah, I've got to say I'm forever grateful that I don't have to do 6Ks here. Don't know how you lot over in the US manage that one. What's your go-to post-session snack?
I usually try and crush a smoothie. So a strawberry, banana, oats, peanut butter, and milk smoothie. with some cinnamon in it.
Oh, that's so much more sophisticated than mine. Mine's a
Well,
couple of
it's that or I'm like absolutely devouring like peanut butter crackers, whatever's in my bag.
mine's normally a banana and a couple of Tic Tacs that I seem to have in my locker. Coxed or coxless?
Coxless. It's faster.
But you've got no one shouting at you.
Uh, that's true, but unless I'm in an 8, I don't really like I'd rather a coxless 4 than a cox 4. But if I'm in an 8 and I'm in bow seat and I'm just like pulling with the boys, that's a lot of fun. But yeah, coxless.
Sweep or sculling?
Sculling. I would say sculling small boats, sweep big boats, because it's just more fun with the big boats. But I've done a sculling 8 before, and that was a lot of fun. So I think sculling just generally takes it for me.
This is going to a bit of a tongue twister. A fast erg and poor technique, or a slow erg with amazing technique? I think that's which would you rather have?
Well, personally, I have a slow erg, so I'm working on my amazing technique. So I'll have to go with that one. I much rather enjoy rowing in a boat that's got better technique than, thrashing side to side.
Yeah, I can sympathize with that one. There's always one session every season where the coach just takes a top 8 ergs and just sticks them in a boat and sees what happens. And rarely that's the best outing.
Yeah.
What's the call that gets you the most fired up?
Anything that's like personal, like, or saying like, this is what the other person's doing. So like, well, I had a Head of Charles video from 2019 where I got called out for my coxswain to like bring us around the corner because I was bow seat and I was, trying to do a turn to what is it, stroke side, but port side. And that like got me fired up. My splits dropping like 10 splits or whatever on that. But then when someone's like, this is what XYZ is doing right now, like, are you gonna beat them? I'm like, let's go.
This doesn't seem relevant to rowing at all, but I've been asked to ask it. What's your bicep curl?
Well, as the Irish have said, biceps move boats. What is it? It's God, it's probably really dreadful. I think it's like 30 or 35 pounds of like 1 rep max. But if I'm like trying to do any kind of arms, it's like I gotta go down to like 15s or 20s. It's bad.
So just trying to convert that in my head, that's about 15,
kilos,
10 to 15 kilos.
Like 10 to 15 kilos at max, 15 at max, and 10 for reps, I guess.
It's
dreadful.
Not bad numbers, as long as it's with good form.
Terrible numbers. What are you kidding me?
What's your favorite domestic race?
Head of Charles was great. That was a lot of fun. Like, it's just so much fun with the atmosphere. So that's usually probably a go-to. But then nothing else really gets there. You would have certain races like Dad Vales, which is the one in Philadelphia for the collegiate teams. But I think I'll just have to stick with Head of Charles because the atmosphere is just unmatched.
Head of the Charles versus Head of the River.
I'd have to say Head of the Charles because there's more boats and it's longer like time. It's not just one day. And
yeah, that does sound good.
Yeah, and it's like there's just more people in one spot like for a longer time. And it's just you get all the different types of people in the country to come back and race Head of Charles. So it's great.
Have you ever had the chance to visit Henley, a Henley regatta?
I have not, which is why I'm like, that would be a great like time to go over. Maybe I have a friend that's switching teams right now, and she's going to be coxing over at one of the teams over there that does Henley all the time. So I'm like, that'd be a cool thing to go and visit for. That'd be a lot of fun.
That could be a good old documentary in itself.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I see what you put. I'm about it.
Um, what's your pre-2K food?
Pre 2K food, haven't done one in a fairly long time. So usually I just stick with, I, I mean, when I was in Ireland doing 2Ks, it was a chicken fillet roll. Like I would have it like an hour before, like a chicken sandwich.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, so I would usually do something like that. But then right before it, I'd have like a Cliff Bar or something just to have something in my stomach.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense. My housemate's a big fan of a tuna pasta salad at lunchtime the day of a
Oh,
test.
oh my God.
Pasta or potatoes?
Gotta go with the potatoes. I'm Irish. What do you expect?
uh, what club did you learn to row at?
I started my high school rowing team. So the Hartford School in spring 2011.
Um, just see the next one. Would you rather catch flights or feelings?
I've been known to catch feelings, so I'd rather catch flight because I know what it's like to catch feelings.
uh, what's your least favorite word?
Least favorite word.
Yeah, I've sent you these in advance as well. I thought you'd have this one lined up.
Yeah, I've been thinking about it. I'm like, oh, it could go with something like moist. Like that's so bland. I'm trying to think in like a rowing context, but like,
I can take it outside of rowing. You can go with
yeah.
whatever you fancy for this one.
Honestly, I've heard it so many times that it just doesn't make me happy anymore. But like pull, like just pull. I'm like
I feel
pull, like pull. I'm like, what do you think I'm doing?
that's quite an American coxing as well, shouting pull. I don't think
Yeah.
you really get that over here. Um,
You get the squeeze.
oh yeah, yeah. I quite like a squeeze though.
A good squeeze call is like, gets everyone in the same mentality of how to pull.
Um, so I'm not sure if you saw my one of my videos where I made lunch of a tuna rice and kidney beans.
Almost threw up. No.
So that's a no then.
Yeah, it's a no.
um, and finally, what is your pre-race ritual? Do you have one?
I've never really had one for like on the water racing. I've tried a lot of different stuff like breathing really hard to get the heart rate up or something like sitting at the blocks. I've tried like slapping the legs. I've tried uh going for a jog, stretching. I've done a bunch of stuff and nothing really stuck. So, but the one thing that has stuck is like the pre 2K warm up, which is like 20 minutes of just 10 steady. Then every 2 minutes I do like a 10 at 28, 32, 36, 40. And then I'm like raring to go. So I don't have a like got to put on all my stuff on my left side, then all on my right side. Then I have to put uni down and put the thing tight, and then uni up, and then like, it's nothing on the water. That's crazy. So
Oh, I do like a good leg slap. That's
a good leg slap just like gets you like hype, but it's like, oh, I guess like yeah, boys, like right before you start, just
yeah, a
one of
few
my
whoops.
friends, Tom Stevens, always said it, and it got me like so pumped because me and Tom were like really close and like just fun to row with him. So yeah, boys.
Well, thank you, Eamon, for your time for the interview. Some
Yeah, of
really
course.
interesting stuff. Good luck with making your Olympic documentary. Good luck with getting NBC on your side. We're
Yeah,
all
it's gonna take some smoozing.
you've got all of our backing on that one. So you can just let NBC know that one.
Got it. Hey, MVC, Max is about it. You got to do it now.
Is there anything you'd like to plug or shout out before we wrap up?
No, I would say shout out all the rowing content creators out there. Max, welcome to the club.
Oh, thank you. It's quite an elite club. I think there's only 4 I can name, and I'm one of
Yeah,
them.
what is it? It's Cam Buchan, Eamon Glavin, Max Secunda, Phil Doyle. You could say Pat Hanratty
Yeah,
is in there.
he's at the next door club to me now. He's at Thames.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
If you see him, tell him I missed his videos.
I'll let him know.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Nice market for us to get into.
Yeah. Pretty it's pretty small. You could say elite. You have the top elite guys and you have the club men.
Well, thank you very much for your time. It's been an absolute pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Thanks for including me.
Good luck with everything going forward.
I appreciate it. I look forward to watching.